Welcome to Rock That Relationship, a podcast about all things relationship with Corey and Tracy.
Now let's get real and start creating relationships that rock.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rock That Relationship. We are here in our season all about soulmates. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the science behind soulmates, why we connect with people, how we connect with people. And we are so thrilled to have our guest on today, Tammy Waldron, who is a master energy healing teacher and practitioner. So Tammy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
Oh, we've been looking forward to it. I'm excited to hear all about what you do. So maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about your background, how you got interested in some of the holistic, the coaching, the well-being stuff that you're doing, the energy work that you're doing, and what does that all entail?
Yeah, so my story starts in infancy and actually in the womb. I was adopted at 5 days old and came straight out of the womb into the world, into a bassinet, did not get held or touched by my mother, and wasn't wanted in utero from my mother. And I was adopted by a beautiful family. And so I had all these polarizations of I was loved, but I wasn't wanted. I know that I'm a gift from God, and my mother abandoned me. Didn't probably even want me to be alive, right? And so as a young child, I was very clingy, and that led into codependency, led into disruptive relationships, and just like this revolving door of misery loves company, and searching outside to fill that huge primal wound that I did not understand, couldn't fully even see, but I knew it was there, and just insatiable, wanted to be loved, wanted belong, connection. And so it led to people pleasing and all kinds of things. And then I had a divorce and finally got quiet and was alone for the first time because, man, being alone and in between relationships was chaotic. It felt really untethered, really insecure. But I allowed myself to get quiet for the first time and finally turn in and face those fears, and started to love myself, forgive myself, give myself what I was searching for. And then soon after that, I found my first energy healing class, a theta healing class. And that helped me to understand what that primal wound was, that it was actually, a primal wound. And later I learned more about attachment disorders, but that's my journey. Energy healing changed my life. It helped me heal it, helped me understand it. And now I teach it and I'm a practitioner.
Is that different than like therapy, regular, what we consider like, I went to a therapist and figured this all out. So can you like give that distinction? Like what, do you think one is better than the other? It's like good for individual people, or how I want to know that like distinction of those.
Yeah, I went to talk therapy and I never could get to the root of what was going on in my life. Talk therapy is so helpful for unpacking what trauma we're in. Like I was stuck in that drama triangle: persecutor, victim, helper. I was always between the helper trying to earn my worth and the victim of just feeling like I can't get on top of things, like always being attacked. And so like talk therapy is very helpful for framing, mindset work, helping us to move through the world, understand what's going on in the world, but never gets to the root cause of what's driving those symptoms. So with energy healing and theta healing, we can actually get to the root of what was going on. And I was able to connect to my infant self and understand that trauma. And we inherit trauma from our ancestors too. My biological mother was also adopted. And so, so much abandonment and disconnection that I could never, ever understand. Like talk therapy has to go off of what we know. I didn't know. I had no idea what was going on.
Right.
until I started to see it more clearly through energy healing.
Isn't that interesting? I'm going to go down a little rabbit hole, just a
Of
tiny one, but
course you
like,
are.
yes, my mother was adopted in a similar situation as yours, where, her mother had already actually given away other children. We didn't find this out until, just recently, of course, like the whole horrible story, but given away 5 kids. And my mother was an infant and was like given in a car on a back road or whatever to some other people. And she's never done therapy as far as I know in her life. And she's in her late 70s. And I like people would say, well, didn't your parents go to therapy or whatever? I'm like, they don't even know they need to go to therapy, right? And so I think that that's like what you're saying is like she doesn't even know that if she went to a therapist, that I don't even know that she would even bring that up, right? But that's like, to me, I'm the second generation, and I feel all of those wounds, all the attachment stuff, all the abandonment stuff, and she passed it down without having any idea she was doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I grew up in the 70s before we even understood attachment disorders.
Right.
And how important it is for the child to be held by their mother. That bonding that happens, it impacts the way our neurological system is built. And for me, it's like I was stuck in fight, flight, freeze my whole life. And that shows up on an EEG report for me.
Wow.
I worked with a woman and did neurofeedback, and she could see that my significant traumas were frequent and happened when I was very young. And I, until doing that, really didn't feel a real neurological calmness. I had all this spiritual calm and peace and understanding, but yet my body would still fly off and respond because that's the way it was wired. And it never, ever knew there was no other pathways for it to go down until I rewrote that.
And how did the energy healer get in there?
Energy, like it's just so like a root ball. It's just like a root ball. I can't really describe what happens. It just does. And like triggers go away and you just feel calm and peaceful. It just is like, the analogy I give is like a computer or a phone with all these open apps, all these open tabs that never ever get turned off, and it's years and years and years. And it just bogs down the system. Our body's so amazing. It holds on to things for us that is unprocessed so we can operate in the highest and best way, but it reaches its capacity.
And you still have all those things, right? Like shadow, those are your like shadow work. Right?
It impacts your shadows. And sometimes, this in a cosmic, like soul curriculum mentality kind of a approach is yes, the why I was adopted is to play out this shadow role. But so what happens when we reach our ends of our capacity is our body has to off gas. It has to do something to release. So those are our triggers, our hot buttons, generalized stress, overwhelm, burnout. And the thing is, we're all operating with them, but they're normalized because we don't even know what it's like to not have them. Some of them came in at birth, so you don't even know what it's like to not have that until it goes away. And that's what I often hear, and for myself too. Wow, I didn't know I was holding all of that. I feel so much lighter and clearer, and you get clarity. It's amazing.
Well, that's awesome. Like, so when you're talking about this healing and you're talking about theta healing, like how does it work? If I were to come in and do a session with you, what would that even look like?
Yeah, theta healing is a guided meditation that the practitioner goes into, that we connect to universal life force energy, and we connect with our intuition, whatever you want to call that. In interfamily systems therapy, they call it the self energy, which is true. All this energy lives inside of us, and it's universal and outside of us. So we're connecting to that purest essence of ourself. And then that is where our intuition lives. And we connect to our intuition and receive answers. We receive what the limiting beliefs are, what the trauma is. And then there's protocols that we then identify what that is and shift and change it. And then it turns into quantum physics. What you observe happens. So if you observe a light particle and you watch it, it turns into a wave. If you don't watch it, it's just is whatever. It's a wave or it's a particle, right? Depending on how you're looking at it. The same thing happens inside of our bodies in a magical way that we're working to get some science evidence around, but we don't have measurement tools to fully capture it yet. But we watch it. We watch it changing, and through our intuitions of seeing, feeling, knowing, we can watch and feel that shift and change somatically in our bodies. And you can actually even muscle test to say that you can see that you've had it, and then you can see that you don't have it anymore. And then your life just mirrors. It just mirrors everything from the inside, mirrors out into your outside. So when I started to love myself, my relationships changed.
Wow. How so? Like, what do you have an example of, like, what maybe one relationship and what it was like sort of before you did the energy healing, and then what it was like once you had sort of adopted that practice?
Yeah. I mean, I had several ones that were so magnetic prior to healing, where I couldn't avoid it if I tried. It was like a head-on collision, kind of like, here comes the car, you can't avoid it. And it was so magnetic. Oh my gosh. And then the end of it was also like the magnets just flopped, and it was like, oh, holy shit, how do I get out of here? Where's the exit? Straight to the exit. Let's just think that never happened, right? That relationship never happened. That was wild. I had a couple that were like that, and I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. It was so weird. It was so weird. And in that, who was I? Who was I in those old relationships? A chameleon. What do you want me to be? How do I need to show up? Please love me. Super codependent. Bending over backwards, just pouring into other people. Often those people were people that needed my help so I could have value. If I help you, maybe you'll love me. It was just super dysfunctional in that way. And now, after healing, I have a better sense of what the connection is. I can read those connections better. So if I were to ever have that feeling of that magnetic before, it would immediately be repelling, because I would know that's not something that I want, because my beliefs and my personal lived experience is that the pain and suffering inside of me was attracting that relationship. It wanted to be touched and validated, and it was successful. And now I don't have that in my system to be attracting it. So I don't actually get those attractions. And then if anyone is creepy around me, it's just like, no thanks. Like
automatically, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see it more clearly.
So do you think that all that energy plays into, like, whether you can attract a soulmate? Like, prior to doing the healing or understanding all this stuff, maybe you might have thought you had one, but then it, I'm not saying soulmates can't part, although I'm not parting from mine in my life unless it's by death. But, like, do you think that, like, if your energy is healed, if you are healed, or if you, like, maybe you're not even fully healed, but you understand now what that is, like, that fruit to draw in.
Yeah.
Like, assuming a soul, I'm going to assume, I believe there's one soulmate, and I think it's the person that, like, truly you'll have peace with, right? And so that's where you can then draw in your soulmate, right? Like, you're ready, or is that not how it works? Do you, like...
Yeah, I have different...
Am I making any sense?
You're making perfect sense. Yeah.
Okay.
You're making
Corey's looking at me like, what is she talking about? Follow my questions, lady. Like,
We
I
get it,
feel
Tracy. We
like,
get it.
okay,
We
okay,
get it.
okay, okay,
Is the
okay.
pre-healing attraction maybe a misnomer for a soulmate, whereas post-healing attraction, or at least awareness of that post-healing, is more like you could potentially bring in someone that's more like actually a soulmate?
So just I want to just clarify my beliefs. I don't believe there's one. I don't think we have one soulmate. And we have people who are kindred connections to us that also feel really bonding. Um, and those happen in all sorts of relationships, friendship and children and colleagues and lovers too. And the other thing that I think is very common in the world is this whole idea of my soulmate will complete me. And what you are searching for is what you're going to find. So I do think there are some pre-understandings that I feel is necessary unless there's like real divine intervention that happens. Because we've heard of people that were a hot mess and met a perfect person and was able to have a great relationship. So it's not like it's like an absolute
Hmm.
have to have, but it does make the journey a little easier when we do work from the inside out. Um, so just we are whole people. We might need healing. We might have things not figured out, but we're not a half of anything. So if you're looking for someone to complete you because you're half, you're going to find something like that. And that's not actually going to be a soulmate healthy relationship. Because for me, like I was looking for people to do that. Help me fulfill this big hurting inside of my body, this I don't feel loved. Please love me. And if I find that right relationship, then all this is going to go away because I will truly be loved. That's complete bullshit because it's never going to happen. I need to be whole and complete and love myself. And that mirrors out to other people who love themselves. And then we can come together and have a real healthy relationship. Did I
Yeah.
answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense. And I'm in the camp where you are. I believe we have multiple people in our soul circles. They play different roles. Some we might have had past lives with. Some are here for reasons. Some are here for soul contracts. It's much more like that. I don't have as much of a romanticized notion as I used to. That's why I wrote my book, The Soulmate Strategy, kind of looking for the one, and it, coming, to realize there isn't really the one out there.
Well, I found the one, but
Well,
maybe.
and maybe you have,
But
but
are we all creating our realities as well, though? But I do think that, like, for me, at least, finding, like, I've always been, okay, people think I'm cranky, but I'm generally like a happy person, right? Like, I'm really grateful, blessed. I feel like I have so much in this lifetime, but I was never truly settled in myself. Like, I was always like, and so Corey and I met 4 years ago, and she watched me go through three just really ill-fitting, tumultuous relationships right after my divorce. And they all taught me something super valuable, but they were never meant to last. And, but at the time you don't know that. And so you're really trying to make things work. And all of that trying to make those things work actually led me to giving, like you said, I had to give myself what I needed. And there was one situation in particular that I was like, oh my God, I would not do the inner child work with my therapist. I just refused. I'm like, please don't say that again. That term is so gross and icky and all that. And I was like, I can't do it. But this relationship led me to do that because I was like, everything that I'm offering to that person, security, safety, love, whatever, and they're kicking me in the teeth. Why am I not offering that to myself? And so then I did offer to myself and my whole life changed. Like I stopped offering it, right? And then that allowed me to actually truly become happy and settled. And therefore, I believe led me to being open to receiving the right person.
And then you received the right person after that?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then there's the evidence. It happened for me. It happened for you. I mean, it really is a big helping point if people
Mm-hmm.
continually have issues to turn in. I had a client who was on a mission to find her soulmate, and we had multiple sessions, and they all were focused on, okay, who's your soulmate? And they all turned right back to her. All of this trauma that she had in her sacral center, her chakra center, And then one message came through so clearly. You are your soulmate.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So why don't we treat ourselves like that, talk to ourselves like that, take ourselves out on dates? We are that, and when we fulfill that for ourselves, the energy we emit out into the world and the intention that I love myself and I would love to have a loving partner turns into a whole different formula for the universe to meet us back with and mirror back.
Yeah, I love that. And I think earlier when you were talking about too, like attachment disorders, and I think about people who are so craving that person, right? Whether it's to complete them or to make them feel valued or validated or just simply not to be alone, right? This idea. But some of it, might play into kind of our attachment styles, right? And that we grab onto someone and we hold on and we see them as kind of this like soulmate. They're finally here. They finally do all these things that I need for them to do for me, when in fact it's not really a soulmate. It's part of your trauma and your history. I mean, can you talk a little bit about like the attachment disorder stuff that you were referring to earlier and how that might play out and, with relationships?
Yeah, I want to be more versed so I can speak to all of them. I can only speak really to my own in that um, it's just so clingy, just so codependent, not an independent, loving relationship, but so tethered together. Um, and actually, my thoughts keep going back to something Tracy said, that you had found multiple people who weren't a good fit, but taught you really amazing lessons about yourself. And why do we not categorize those people as soulmates?
Right. As they give us soul lessons, right?
Well, can we call them karmic like lessons in? That's the thing, because I guess I do have the romanticized view. Like, I don't want anyone else occupying that space except the person who does now. And so therefore, like, those people also, to me, they were like, ugh, like it's just so problematic. So I appreciate that I did learn from that. And I'm also glad that I could learn from that. And, when you're talking attachment stuff, like, I had major attachment things before. And one of my thing was like, I could not handle a blank face with a partner. So if a partner was like in their own rest or whatever, like if their face was not like, I was hyper reactive to any kind of like mood shift or facial, like, because, when you are raised by someone who has a serious attachment issue because they were abandoned at birth and all that and never processed that. Like, for me, I guess what I learned was like, that's a terror as a baby, that this person's checked out and not giving you the attention you need. And so I used to put that on people that I was with, like, you're not reacting to me, or like I would become panicked, like, what is this blank face, and that person's like, I'm just relaxing. And I'm like, what? Why? Like, why are you doing this? And I don't feel any of that anymore. And so those 3 little awful relationships taught me, like, that actually healed that weirdly, because I realized I am looking for somebody else to soothe me when really the problem is within me, that I'm not soothed. I haven't been soothed since birth. And I gave all that to myself. And I've talked about this before, like, all that, any kind of like that pain that I felt from childhood, from past relationships, it would be like I could physically feel it. I no longer do. And I don't, some of those relationships haven't, it's not like, oh, then I improved the relationship with my parents. None of that has improved, but I no longer feel, it no longer affects me in that way, that like a physical panic arises. And then therefore I have to put that on another person. Like, why is your face like that? Like, why are you resting? Like, it put me into panic. I no longer, okay, I'm not super like, oh, let's rest. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be more cool about that, like not being active, but like, I used to have a panic when someone was blank in their face. And they were like, what is wrong with you, lady? Like, what is your problem? Why are you coming at me?
Oh, that resonates so much. But I was a duck.
I
was a duck, but the duck was a chameleon. So I was like, what's going on? What do you need? What do you need? Let me shape shift. Is everything okay? How's it going? Yeah, that really resonates. What about you, Corey, and attachment disorders? How did that show up for you?
Um, I've been pretty securely attached my whole life. But what happens is when I am with someone who's an avoidant, it can trigger some anxious
You
attachment.
it can trigger some. She becomes
Some.
very anxious. Like,
Well, no, I don't think I become very anxious. I do have moments of anxiousness, and it's particularly
yes.
around one thing is when I'm in conflict and it's unresolved. And the person that I'm in conflict with, I want to resolve it right then. They need space or time. And it's not necessarily because they're avoidant. It's because maybe they just need space or time. And then that makes me anxious. Like, we're never going to resolve it. They don't want to resolve it. What if they don't come back and resolve it? That's what triggers me. But typically I exist more in a secure attachment. I went through this period during when I was writing this book where I was like on the dating apps, which if you're not anxiously attached, you will be after you get on dating apps because they give you every reason to doubt yourself, to question yourself, to, think less thoughts of yourself. Like, why isn't somebody getting back to me? Why did I wink and they didn't wink back? And it's like, I'm a pretty securely attached person. And all of a sudden I became this anxious ball of fire, during that dating. I won't get on. I mean, I don't need to get on the dating apps now, but, I could never imagine getting on them again because the modality of that just triggered my anxiousness all the time. And I was like, oh, that's not healthy. And that's not the place I like to live. So those are the two areas in which I would be kind of slip into anxious attachment. But for the most part, I'm pretty securely attached.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. But I do have a question for you. I'm curious, Tammy, what you think of this. Like, we talk about this like attachment, right? And we talk about the fact that we need to be with people who, they're whole, we're whole, that kind of thing. We have our own self-love. But I know what happens for people is oftentimes they are, whatever type of attachment they are, they're kind of anxious and they're looking for someone to fill that void. Right. And that's the more obvious one to say, they don't fill your void, you fill your void. But what if sometimes though, those people do fill that void and it makes people like linger on in these relationships because they get just a taste of somebody filling their bucket in ways that are satisfying. So you can be clingy, someone's clingy back to you or leans into that clinginess. It kind of gives you some fuel for the fire to last a little bit further until they can drip something else into you that you're not doing for yourself. Have you seen that kind of thing with your clients where they they take what they can get?
I mean, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the abuse cycle. And then ultimately it's self-abuse, right? And this fear of, for me, as I'm thinking about what you're asking, is this is safer for me than being alone in the fear of the unknown. So I'm just going to stick with what I know. And also the threshold we set for ourselves of what's tolerable. When Brene Brown talks about this, like we can only love others as much as we love ourselves. And boy, did she get pushback from that from parents. I love my kids way more than I love myself, but it's like it can't happen. And so I didn't know how to love myself. And I actually wasn't loving to myself. My internal dialogue was not friendly. And I was putting myself out, like real martyrdom, putting myself out just to prove things. And that's what I got back. And that was the threshold of like my own tolerance of what I expected in some ways, subconsciously what I expected, but then also like what I did for myself. So as long as it's within that boundary, then I don't expect anything better. And now, like as we do our internal work, then that boundary, the capacity of it grows and we tolerate less shit. I would never.
Oh, okay. I have something to say. Two things, actually. Well, one is about Corey. And in one of her relationships that I witnessed, there's nothing wrong. The person that she was with, there wasn't anything wrong. It wasn't a bad relationship. But I was like, this is like your floor. Like you're basically accepting like, okay, versus great. Right. And we had that conversation a lot. And it was like nothing, it's nothing bad. It wasn't abusive. It wasn't anything like that. But watching it as a friend, like it really bugged me because I was like, your vibe, like that, if you could say that person's harshing your vibe or like bringing you down, or you're not as high vibration. You're not living the life you could be living fully while with that person, even though they're not bad. And I think that's very interesting. And then I'm watching a show on Netflix. This is Age of Attraction. I don't know if you've seen it. It's really good, but all these super attractive people go to this, they go to Whistler in Vancouver, BC, and they're all put together and they have to all go on a mini date, like speed dating. But then, obviously certain people just like each other right away. And there's a 54-year-old woman who likes a 27-year-old guy, and she has kids. And anyway, they bring everybody on the show, the kids and all that. And that guy's super confident, super great. But you see all of her insecurities are playing out, right? So even though the kids met him and like him, like she just can't, it's like her son even said, now it's time for you to actually, like, you put your life into us kids, and now it's time for you to have happiness. And you can see she can't even take it. She can't do it. She cannot accept it for herself. And she is throwing up roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And it's because I think it's like, it's not, especially for women in particular, in their nature to like say, I need to care about myself first, And interestingly, like Corey does that. She has a great relationship with her daughter, but she always also prioritized herself. So like Corey didn't sacrifice herself for her daughter, but then I saw her in a relationship accept less than she should have. It's not the case now. Now she's in her high vibrational relationship, but it's interesting to watch those things and say, what do I really deserve? And I'm a divorce attorney, and I would ask clients, like, when's the last time you asked yourself what you deserved? Mm-hmm. Especially for women, right? Some men, but mostly the women.
Mm-hmm. I know some men go there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's like, what do you deserve? Do you deserve the best and all? It seems like we can't say as people that we deserve that. It's like only the narcissists in society. And then the healed people, but we're like in different places, right? Like we're being ruled by narcissists who think they can have everything. And yet the good people, like the regular people like us, we can have everything that's nice for us, but we often throw up roadblocks to that unknowingly, I think. I don't know.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Run by our subconscious programs that we don't see, but others outside can see. That is the magic of energy healing, because we can actually identify them and change them.
Yeah. Well, you should watch that Netflix show if you haven't seen it, Age of Attraction. I'd like to know your thoughts on it, because truly, people could be cynical and say, okay, these people go on these shows just to get famous or whatever. But honestly, I love Love is Blind. I love this. People are truly being vulnerable, and they're like on camera, right? And it's like everybody is kind of seeking another person, not to complete them, but really to enjoy their life together. And you see who can't take it and who's continuously causing the troubles, We
all just want to be loved, and that's healthy and normal and natural and part of survival. Yeah, Corey,
that is an attachment thing. Yeah.
I know. Tracy always tries to tell my story. It's very funny. She had her perceptions of my former relationship, and
it's all in the book. Believe me, it's in the book. But that's the thing about attachment, right? It's not that so that we need people to complete us, but it is okay to want another person to love. And when I was not a fully processed person, that thought made me sick. I was like, I don't need anybody. So even though I would get in relationships, I immediately wanted to just sabotage it. Even a long-term 2 8-year relationships, a 5-year relationship, I was not settled. And I was like, and I look back now and I'm like, that all had to happen so I could get to my happiest point now. But as attachment things, affection and love and needing another person or wanting another person seems gross.
Oh, that's self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a protective mechanism that I am safer if I don't let people in. And if nobody really loves me and this relationship ends, then I'll never get hurt and I'll be safe. And that shit can play out in infinite possibilities of just, oh my gosh, we could go on and on and on
Yeah,
about
I think it's the
that.
basis for a lot of what's wrong with the world is what happened to us in really early childhood. I mean, the whole world over and no ability to process it.
We're breaking that down, though. We're breaking down those societal rules right now. We're seeing them crumble and we're embodying what it is like to not have them. And that's the work. And that's why I also love this work that I do, because I help people find those things that are running that program and changing it and understanding it. Once you shine the light on it and you see it, then you have power over it. But without that, you're a puppet to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like completely blind. I don't even see it at all. That's the way I felt with my pain and suffering. I felt like I was a puppet. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
driving the bus. I don't even know if I was on the bus.
Mhm.
Maybe hanging on to the bumper on the
Right.
back. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Wow. Well, so Tammy, I have a question for you then. As we talk about this idea of you have your childhood kind of traumas and attachment and all those things that happen to you and your child, but then you're carrying sort of this ancestral trauma, right? This or generational trauma, however you want to frame it. And you have all of that. And then we kind of come into this world seeking that which is familiar, even if it's harmful to us, because it's something that, what we know is always better than what we don't know. How do you, in like energy healing, how do you work on breaking? I mean, we know some of the stuff about kind of the childhood trauma because people usually remember that. But how do you go through like energy healing to kind of address the ancestral trauma that someone might not even know that they have? Like, how does that come out through the healing process?
Well, people come to me because they do see some sort of pattern, right? They're seeking help of some kind or wanting to grow and expand. And so it starts with what we know. There's something going on. There's this repeat pattern, or I just have this feeling, or sometimes it's chronic disease even. It can show up in our bodies in all kinds of ways. When we go in to investigate it, I always ask to go to the root cause. Because when you go to the root cause, everything that's built up around it becomes this house of cards and it just crumbles away. Versus the top-down approach is like taking paint off of you know, sanding a wooden
Yep.
table or something. And so it takes us back. It takes us back. And what's fascinating is when I'm channeling and receiving information, I will tell people what I see, what I feel, what's going on. And then they'll sometimes be like, that's happening right now. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, well, patterns just mirror and repeat and
Mm-hmm.
mirror and repeat.
Until you
And
learn to be free
yeah,
from them, right?
yeah. So some people say, it's our soul's curriculum. Some I think that is true, but then I think life just happens, and then we're mixed up into the soup of the community of society, and there's all these rules and roles and pressure and expectations and assumptions that get layered on top of that. So it's a lot to uncover. It's just an onion with so many layers to it. And that's our work, to identify who we are, what's true to us, and what's not, and not live from it anymore and not repeat it. And it changes. It's changing right now. It's changing before our eyes.
Well, I have one question that just came up and I've never thought about this before, but generational trauma versus past life, right? So if we're like the victims of generational trauma, like let's say, our parents were or grandparents were in the Holocaust or something like that, like we're getting their trauma because they're passing it down in the way that they behave, right? But like how, like with my past life, did I then choose to come here and be put in that? Or like, is there any interplay? I've never even thought about that. Generational trauma versus past life.
It's
stuff.
literally in our DNA. So yes, we get conditioning, nature versus nurture, with some of the conditioning patterns of our ancestors. But what I'm talking about is things we inherit in our DNA. And then our past lives those patterns are also inside of our body, in our DNA, in our subconscious. And it's true. What's the difference between ancestral stuff or past life? Doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. It's just kind of like this soup of things that aren't really ours. They're here for us to identify and heal. But in theta healing, we can identify what it is. So I get told it's an ancestor, and
Oh, I see.
and I get told it's past life. And
So
I
there
can
is
see that there's
distinctions,
like
right?
multiple lives this has happened to, and then sometimes it's both things. And when we start to work on deep, deep, deep women things, the trauma of women over thousands of years, then it's not even ours. Like personally, it's not about, it's like, it's a collective healing that's happening. And that's happening more and more and more as I
I
work.
wish. I don't see it yet, but I do
In my
see
work,
glimpses. Yeah.
yeah, in
Like,
my work, we are touching on those things and healing them more
good.
and more and more.
Thank
So
God. Thank
it's
you.
happening. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have one more question. Sorry, Corey, it's not on your list, but if let's say I'm totally in the greatest spot of my life, I'm high vibing, all that in personal life, would it help me with energy healing to deal with my job stuff? So like,
Sure.
okay, my life is perfect except I don't have a job and I don't have a career and I actually don't care, but I know it's important. So I should care. And it's like, it's been a block my whole life. And so like, I have wondered, like, if we're doing so great, do we still need to do work, and just can it help in all arenas of our life?
I think it just depends on your own personal interest of where you want to stay. I just have this desire to ascend and expand to the highest potential. So for me, like healing work is like fun. I don't watch
Mm-hmm.
TV. I have a healing session.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so what I hear you saying is things like, what's my calling? What's my purpose? What am I here to do? Is that true? Or you're talking about just a
No,
job?
no, it is true. I mean, I definitely know that I'm here to help people. That's my whole thing. But for some reason, the career thing's been a block. But like, okay,
Mhm.
my wife and I were walking the other night, and she literally said she feels like she's made it. Like this is what she's always wanted in her life. But with our jobs, both of us, like her job's great. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But like, we're not like Corey, constantly like pushing up. Like, so for me, it's more, I'm comparing myself to Corey, or I'm like friends with her and I'm like, oh my gosh, here she goes again, another success. And I'm like, doodly doodly doo. Like, I got the dogs walked this morning without a dog fight. Like, to me and my wife, like we talked about it, we feel so happy and so fantastic. And like, we have made it to the promised land. But then I'm like, okay, well, there's gotta be more I could be doing. So like, I have to take that next step, but I'm not I'm like not comparing and despairing. Corey is her own person, but
Mhm.
I know that I have a lot more potential in that realm.
Yeah. I
But
mean, like,
sometimes I'm like, do I care?
I think it's programming, first off. What is it that I really want versus what I've been told or what's just conditioned in me of
Mhm.
what I should be doing? Um, so there's that to unravel if it is a bothersome thing to you. But if you're checking in with each other and you're 100% content and happy and satisfied, then I think you've reached what I might never ever reach because I'm always striving and doing. And I need to intentionally put in play, delight, rest, time because I'm always doing things and striving for things. And so comparison is the root of all misery and suffering, of course. And so you just have to compare within yourself is this where I want to be? And or is it a self-sabotage that I'm afraid of failure and so I'm just going to stay in this place that's comfortable? Like there's so many ways that can happen and play out.
And so when you do the energy healing with people, whether it be for soulmate, this or
Mhm.
that, or, it's so individual, right? And like,
Oh yeah.
you're trying to get to the root for them of like, what
Mhm.
is it your soul is seeking?
Yeah. Yeah, whatever people are coming with. Yeah, for sure. And do you guys play around with human design or gene
Maybe
keys?
Corey does. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
we had an astrologer on who did human design, but we haven't delved too far into it. So,
Yeah.
but I know that she
oh,
was really excited about doing it.
I
Yes.
don't really know what it means. Can you tell us?
I actually have somebody that you want to bring on this show to tell you more about it. She's developed an AI app that shows how two people come together to complete in human design, and that you and your wife probably really are just balanced and in human design we actually have these channels and we can be in relationship with people that actually complete our channels, not in the way that you complete me, but it's this energy circuit
Mm,
happens between you, and it is brilliant. And you can get a better understanding of how you're designed. And in the gene keys, one of the keys is called your purpose and
hmm,
your life's work. So you
mm,
can get a better understanding of what that is. And then this is how I frame my work when I work with people. We look at that. And then we look at your question and say,
mm.
are these in alignment? Because it's this new type of astrology that is really
Hmm.
helpful.
That is
Okay.
super cool. We'll definitely have to get that
Yeah.
info from you because, all of this stuff is really, really helpful when we're talking about this, and I think, Tracy alluded to it a little bit with this idea of like a calling, and you talked about it as well, Tammy, is, we look at soulmates and we talked about we've been, this season is all about soulmates, but the word soulmate is really kind of a more specific than what we really mean. We mean like kind of soul, your soul connections, and those may be, and it could be a soul place, it could be a soul calling, it could be soul people, it could be soul pets, it could be a lot of soul different things, and that kind of where you're at peace and with the right, in alignment with whatever it is that you're doing. And so, I think that's really neat because I think a lot of these things go hand in hand too. Like if you're not in your soul place, then you might not be in your soul calling because you're trying to find a job somewhere that you just don't feel really connected to. So it's like they sort of go a little bit together, I think, or at least in my experience. I don't know about your experience with kind of the larger notion of this like soul connections and the work that you've done with your clients. Maybe you could share a little bit about your thoughts on that.
Well, just going back a little bit to the human design, and some of the human designs are really instigative and can help you learn in the highest and best way. People even talk about like I want to find my twin flame, but those are people who are just like you that would, if I was in a partnership with me, that would be a real opportunity for some learning. So,
Exactly.
So,
like, you want to be really, really specific of what you're asking for in another partner because you have this preconceived notion of what a soulmate is for you. And it's not just the umbrella term of soulmate, it's a specific list of things. I want my partner, and it's usually is romantic, right? I want my partner to do this, this, and this. But we can list that out for friends. We can list that out for business partners and colleagues. And what do you want those people to be and to do? And how are you showing up for those people too? And I don't think I answered your question at all because my mind just went down this other
No,
spiral.
that's okay. I mean, you're talking about it in terms of people, right? That we can have these soul connections with multiple people in our worlds. I mean, I have like a best friend from college who I'm certain is in my soul circle. Like
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not going to be romantic. I mean, I'm gay, she's straight, she's married, I'm partnered. Like it's not about that. It's about the connection that we have, and it's always been very easy, very peaceful. It's
Yeah.
always felt like it's the right thing. Yeah, and I mean, I was thinking of even broadening that even more with my question is like a place. Could you feel connected to and soul
Oh,
grounded in
yeah.
a place, and can you feel in your calling? Like I feel like I'm doing my calling. I'm really fortunate. I've always felt like I've been doing my calling or some variation of it. And so I've never felt like a dissonance in my workspace like maybe Tracy has because I always feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah, there's annoying things, that the workplace, but other than that, the calling is there. So I'm thinking about with your energy healing, do you ever have people come in that are looking for kind of identifying those things that aren't about soul connections with people, but like their calling or their place or those things?
Yes, yes. And I'm working with a woman right now who just is feeling called to move. And oh my gosh, talk about connection to place. So her family's always been in this land, and it's like they homesteaded there. And it's we put claims on things. And so there's like contracts and vows and oaths that get tied up in us energetically. And she has this feeling that she really wants to leave this place. And she's wanted to do it for a long time, but she's having a hard time doing it because of all of that. And so
Mm.
her ties are so deep into that land, and her ancestors came and helped us to untie all that. It's kind of like bondage to the place, but it's
Hmm.
in a beautiful way. Some of it was really beautiful. She's the next homesteader to extend out the lineage into new lands, and and so giving her that well wishes, but then also there was this preconceived notions of the homesteaders that whatever I put my stake in is mine and I own this, which isn't true for Gaia. It's
Hmm.
not true for the world. And so we were able to heal the ancestors and rewrite that story and give her this the skills and tools, and knowing that she has the resources. Another thing that often comes back, it's popping into my head, is sea voyage. We have ancestors that traveled across the sea.
Hmm.
Some of them got lost. And so some of us don't have a really strong compass because we got lost, or we died at sea, or it didn't go the way that we had hoped it would. Or, oh my gosh, I worked with someone the other day. They missed the boat, and all
Oh,
the
wow.
loss and grief around that was
Hmm.
my way to get out of this. And now I completely effed up. And just going back and rewriting that, but giving you your compass for you, like your purpose, your compass, your calling versus all these other preconceived notions, or ones from the past. Because a lot of people feel lost. That's one reason why people come. I feel lost, disconnected. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm spinning. And it just brings certainty and discernment around all of that.
It's so interesting going back to the land one where she's the homesteader, but like as the ancestors put all this weight on her. Maybe she wants to go be an actress. Maybe she wants to live in a
Mm-hmm.
city. You know what I mean? And like, how
Mm-hmm.
can she? And she's like, maybe that's just like all on her and she doesn't even understand it, right? And it's these things we can't even see. So now
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do some energy healing. I'm going to contact you afterwards. And like I think that can, because I've never understood, like I kind of felt like, okay, I came into this lifetime to master relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like I'm at so happy of a place. And I know, okay, is this just a societal thing that like I'm judging myself, comparing what other people think is a value? Or is there something I really want to do and I'm not doing it because I can't unlock that? And I have, with the whole career thing and the things that I want to do in that realm, I tried with my therapist, and my poor therapist, it's like, oh my God, it's not getting to where we need to go. And so I have been looking, okay, what is it? Who can help me unlock that? So hopefully I'm going to do a session with you, and then we can, or multiple, I don't know. And then we can talk about that later, because we always circle back. I mean, Corey and I are talking about kind of the same things, and we came here, we've been told by multiple people to learn this lifetime. For Corey and I have had multiple lifetimes together, and this
Mm-hmm.
lifetime is to learn lessons. And so we're both actually with the people that we intend to be with forever. We're in these perfect situations, but I have like Corey's in the place she wants to live. She's with the person she wants to be with. She's got the job she wants and all that. And I have like some of that, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I just can't, I haven't found anything that can help me unlock I have a huge block about my career,
Yeah, cool.
you
That'll
know?
be fun. Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
listeners,
Yeah,
check
Tammy,
back. Well, you'll hear about
she needs your help.
it.
She needs your assistance. I can't coach her.
Corey's trying to help me.
I can't
Corey
coach
can't
her.
take it. I
I'm
should
like,
have said
I'm
Corey and
done.
my therapist
Been
are
almost
over it.
5 years of nothing but trying to
Can't even,
coach her.
I know
But
I can't even talk to her about it anymore,
I
because
know
I'm
we
like,
don't even talk
ugh,
about it. I'm like, I don't want to know what's happening with your work. But
nothing.
yeah.
Nothing's happening. Okay.
Anyways, well, Tammy, what is on the horizon for you these days? Like, if our listeners wanted to get in touch with you, they wanted to work with you, like, what kinds of services do you offer? What kinds of things might they seek you for?
Yeah. I'm a teacher first, practitioner second. I believe we all have, well, we do. We all have intuition. We all have the ability to regulate our nervous system and to tap in and live from our intuition, but it's something we learn, and it takes time to learn it. And so I stopped teaching weekend classes, and I am launching a extensive container that with each class comes a container of a community of practice. And then you can choose how long you stay, but it's a limited of 3 months for each class. We're going to practice together for 3 months, because my students were just coming and they're just wanting to learn something. And then it's like, oh, that doesn't work for me. Or like, I don't literally know what to do now that we're not in the class together. And it's, yeah, of course you don't. It takes time to learn, and also takes time to receive. You got to receive healing in order to clear space for your intuition to be the leader of the system inside of us. We've got so many parts going on that it takes a minute to really connect back to her. And so that's coming this year. I've been working on it for almost 2 years. So I'm so excited. It is like this close.
That's so launching. Cool. When are you thinking about launching it?
It's almost ready to be able to purchase. I'm working with this brilliant woman who's helping me with the systems around it. And so it's almost ready to start telling people about it, and actually a link for people to sign up. And then I think the class is going to be June, because there's a lot going on for people in May. Typically, May is a real transition time, and then it'll just be 3-month packages from there on out. And it's just ongoing. And then I do work with people one-on-one. And so that's available. I just have one session offers, and I do have a package where we do energy healing applied to your gene key profile, and it's 20. You go from one session with me, or if you want to dive in, we can do the whole thing. So that's really deep, fun work. Yeah.
That's so cool. Wow. Well, we'll make sure to put your contact information and everything in the show notes, so all of our listeners can get a hold of you, find out more about what you're doing, kind of follow you on your launch of your new container program. That sounds amazing. Congratulations on getting to that point. That's going to be really exciting when you launch your inaugural class of people. Yes. So well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Tammy, for being on today and for our discussion all about, everything from energy healing to attachments to understanding ancestral wounds and trauma and past life stuff, and kind of how it all plays into the soul, right? Like this idea of our soul and our soul connections, and, maybe even ultimately for some, the Hollywood version of the soulmate. But anyways, thank you so much for being on, Tammy. We really appreciate it. And for all of our listeners out there, until our next episode, go out there and rock those relationships. If you liked what you heard, check out our show notes for resources from today's episode. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram under Rock That Relationship, and go to our website at rockthatrelationship.com for updated episodes and more great information.
Thanks for listening. Now go rock those relationships.